Let's do the predictions for August 2026. So last month brought us lots of volcano activity within the cards, rising waters, water events, type weather, and also weather events. In the month of August, we also saw some political scandals or political issues, a lot of political cards in the reading for July. And we looked to the UK for where we saw that occur. So let's see what the month of August is going to bring. Before I begin with the cards, I just want to say that we have two eclipses coming up in August, and I usually find with that there's some kind of Earth event when we're looking at eclipses. So the first one will be on the 12th of August. We'll have a total solar eclipse in the sign of Leo. Leo represents leadership, rulers. So we could see some heavy energy around leaders or rulers or issues coming up around the rulers of our countries or the leaders in the world. It also represents fire. So we could be looking at volcanic activity, which could lead to earthquake activity as well. So we'll be looking out for that within the cards this month as well. The end of the month, the 28th of August, we have a partial lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign. Pisces represents crossing boundaries and borders. We can look at that on a physical way in issues around borders, immigration, and boundaries, or we could look at it more as a opportunity for spiritual connection, heightened intuition over that time, because the moon, so it's a partial lunar eclipse at the end of the month. So let's tap into the cards now to see what they want to reveal for the month of August. Going to begin the reading with the predictions oracle. I'll do a spread for the governance oracle, and then I'll finish with a spread for the forecaster oracle. Let's get into today's reading. Governance oracle. There is a couple of prediction oracles in this deck in error, but I think they're meant to come out for today's spread. So we're seeing global impacts coming from decisions made by tyrannical leaders. This sounds to me like US, Iran, but we are seeing a communist country. And usually when I see this card, I think of Russia or China. And I feel like here is a targeted attack. So a targeted attack could be to do with Russia, or it could be China stepping in, or because we have surprise attack and targeted attack. Interesting. Okay, so we're seeing that the war going on the way it is not going to be sustainable. Around one of the rulers, Iran or US, it's affecting global interests. So it's not sustainable. They're either needing to draw in China, or we see some kind of surprise attack. Now, we could be talking about Iran here as well. Usually I go straight to China or Russia for this card though, but we're seeing a surprise attack and a targeted attack. Okay, trying again to hide corruption, but corruption revealed. Trying to coerce and manipulate, That sounds like the markets to me, because look at all that money coming out there. Coerce and manipulate money markets globally. Now, can't keep doing that. It's not sustainable to keep doing that. I feel there's a banking connection with that last spread. There's some kind of, like, I know it's the markets, the stock markets, but I feel like they're starting to cause a connection to the money markets, as in the dollar, and whether that's related to the petrodollar affecting the value of the dollar is quite concerning, that we've got this communist country stepping in, or we're seeing a targeted attack or a surprise attack. Now, if I was going to go the most obvious, you would say a surprise attack on Iran, and that would be the most obvious because that's probably the most likely. But sometimes I just like to see underneath what's going on, because it wouldn't be unusual. It's be something that's been happening in the last month, a targeted attack, surprise attack on Iran. So I wouldn't, that would be the most logical explanation for those cards. The situation currently, a global impact on the markets and manipulation of markets. That would be, this is the corruption that's revealed. That's the money in coming out of the chest here. This is a tyrannical leadership is influencing this, and we see that it's no longer sustainable. So either it's affecting Russia or China, or Russia and China are questioning this, stepping in here, and there's a bit of a surprise result, or a surprise response is the right word there, a surprise response to what's been playing out over the last few months. And we could be seeing a targeted attack, which could be Russia, between Russia and Ukraine here. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, first of all, we're seeing the final echo. This is the loss of mourning, passing of somebody well known, or displacement of people. So it could be on the news about people in mourning. So let me have a look here around social media. So social media hears of the passing of somebody on social media. It's interesting those two cards have come out together. Strategy taking place to reform something, or restructure, or overhaul something. So it's a lot of strategy, correcting course, changing course, strategy being played out about restructuring the way things are done. That could be to do with warring efforts in Iran and the US, requiring a little bit more structure. Now, sometimes when we see this, it means structures being targeted structures, but that's an obvious logical response to that card. Ethics and advances, genetic engineering. We're seeing in the media talks about advances in genetic tech, or biotech, or we're seeing headlines. This could be such things as peptides. They have a meeting in July. I think this card actually came up in one of the other readings as well, and I didn't know, but I found it when I was looking for if that prediction happened. There is certain peptides which is connected to genetic structures, and genetic biotech is going to try and be put back on the compounding list. So that happened at the end. That's happening at the end of July. So but we're leading into over here, we're leading into August. So there could be still some talks about new technologies, biotech advances around certain medications, or new technology in the tech or genetic industry. Maybe there's a bit of strategy here around that, and that could be to do with that meeting that they had. So they're trying to make some strategy about how they reform those policies and how they restructure those policies. Maybe it's connected to many uses or many people using, and they're needing to restructure the grey market with those kind of industries. So there's a strategy at play on how they benefit from or control the grey markets around genetic biotech. And again, we've got a course correction around the military. So this is a defensive mobilisation and a strategic pivot. So there's still a lot of strategy at play here for the month of August. And I feel there's a tactical response or a change of strategic pivot when it comes to military action, defensive capabilities, the way that they've been playing out this escalating tension over the last few months since February. Maybe they're needing to course correct and change their tactical response here. There's a little bit of displacement or shelterness as a result of events taking place around defensive mobilisation. We have the multi-source, many perspectives, could be talking about lots of people or a lot of people viewing something. This could be, so it could be something different related to these when I talked about these four together as being technology, biotech connections, advances. We could be talking about this here now as many source perspectives. This is not the algorithm card, but it is the social media card. So it's things that are big on social media. Maybe they're trying to structure and reform how information comes out on social media. Although couldn't imagine we see the results of that in August. But predictively, we're seeing loss or mourning card, which normally means a passing or news of fatalities. I see here defensive mobilisation, tactical response, but it's a course correction or a pivoting, strategic pivot to do with military. We see displacement. And again, calculated moves. So two calculated strategy type. They're both chessboard pieces, playing chess with resources, making calculated moves in order to overhaul or update the way resources are used or who's in control of resources. Again, it's another logical type answer to the cards that's on the table. Okay, so something else that came to mind while I was shuffling, a couple of things I picked up around the New Jersey orbs when I saw the signing disclosure, but I'll get further into that card as I go along. I also, in the July predictions, there was something about cyber warfare, spying, surveillance, and information being brought out into the public. So disclosure, it's not disclosure, it was information being released or unclassified. And there was a release of information from Israel surveillance about an assassination attempt, I believe, for Trump. So that did happen as well. That was one of the predictions that I predicted. I didn't say assassination. I did not say Trump. I just said it's about surveillance and spying warfare, and information would be released. And we hear that in the month of July, it was about what they picked up. Israeli intelligence picked up on an assassination attempt, possibly to assist in permission to start bombing. But I want to clear that energy. There was one other thing. I did see the commercial airline flip through as I was shuffling, and that was one of the predictions that didn't happen yet. It is still early in the month of July. There's still another week to go, but it kept coming up about planes in the month of July, so I don't know what that meant, but I did see the commercial airline try to pop out of this reading. Instead, we got the military plane. So again, we've got planes again. Okay, so we see somebody losing control. This is a control puppet sitting on top of collapse. So we're seeing somebody losing control, somebody that's been trying to maintain control will start to lose control as there's a shift of power or imbalance in power, trying to hang on to power. Maybe we're going to start to see who is pulling the strings behind the structures, the power structures, US or UK leaders. I'm talking Israel here. I'm talking behind the scenes. It's pulling the strings and losing control. So maybe not being able to maintain control, but trying to hang on to control and power. Again, I'm seeing the military plane, but we have an underground. Let me pull another card for this one. So as far as natural disasters goes, we could be looking at more water events in the month of August or tsunami warnings in the month of, because this deck here is great for looking at natural disasters, and we don't see any natural disasters on the table. So as far as natural disasters go, we could see an event such as a volcano or earthquake with the tsunami warnings attached, or we could be seeing more issues around weather events such as rising water or flooding due to the heat crisis anomaly weather patterns, and then it turns to rain, which then causes flooding. So we're seeing more water events in the month of August. Now it's interesting because at the end of the month we have a water sign eclipse, so that could be further to the end of the month, but I do feel a lot of escalating tension and a lot of tension coming out around the beginning of August. End of July into August, we already have seen that heating up with activities and such as earthquakes. We saw one in the US. I'm seeing just on alert or high alert for more. That's end of July, early August. But we do have an eclipse in a fire sign, which means it could be volcanoes, active volcanoes causing issues. So getting back to the main headlines here, we're seeing somebody trying to maintain power and hang on to classified information. So there's a leader here that has knowledge up their sleeve that they're trying to keep hidden, because we've got the hidden card. Keep this knowledge hidden to maintain control and the upper hand. Now, it could be connected to money because we have the banking card or the currency card, or we could be seeing maybe the collapse of the dollar. We could be seeing volatility in the markets, volatility around banking and currency, because I'm seeing also like a collapse sitting next to the banking. So that could be collapse of crypto volatility. It could be petrodollar, or it could just be banking issues around banking. So trying to hold on to power, but we're seeing a collapse. Now, whether that means we're having don't think it's a CEO, banking CEO. I think it's more trying to maintain power and control. Back to signing and disclosure, we're hearing more about, of course, disclosure, more released information. Okay, interesting. Look at these three cards together. We've got sightings, disclosure, classified knowledge. So there's still things they're keeping classified. Maybe it's connected to the military keeping information, wanting to keep certain information classified. Is it getting released? Well, they're hanging on to the knowledge because knowledge is power. Because they're worried about the effects that it's going to have on society. They're hanging on to some kind of piece of information or knowledge around disclosure in the military, trying to keep that information classified because they're worried about the disruption of society and maintaining control here, especially because when it's connected to money, black money projects. So headlines, we could be seeing release of more information, but it's not the only information. They're really just trying to hold on to the things that maintain control, maintain the money coming into the black projects. But they are hiding something here. They're hiding something in classified information in order to maintain control and keep things the way they are. Military connection to that, and money being funneled in, connected to that as well, connected to sightings disclosure. Interesting for the predictions. They don't normally do this kind of reading. Normally, the predictions deck goes straight to what's happening in the earth events, the natural disasters. But we're seeing a lot of disclosure information. Now, when I flicked this one out and I thought of New Jersey orbs, maybe there's something more sightings. Maybe we're going to be seeing more sightings in the month of August. Maybe that happens because there's a lot more military action taking place around the world, and maybe we'll start to see an interest from or a use of reverse engineered craft here. Secret technology, hidden technology being used. Let's see how we go in August. Thank you so much for watching.